The Blades Ramble is proudly sponsored by My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. Contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk for more information or follow the link in the description below.
Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades, and welcome back to the Blades Ramble again. Who thought we might be struggling for content? Crazy, innit? Crazy. How are we all doing this fine evening? It's lovely weather, actually. It's been nice weather the last couple of days, so I'm good. I'm good with that. I want to thank Action Coach Sheffield, part of My Business Group now, and also the Rainbow Blades for our invite to their very special 5th anniversary last night. It was great. Myself, Dave the Nose, and Jordan Motson attended, representing the Ramble, and fantastic night had by all. Congratulations to them and their continued fantastic work that they do as an organisation. But I'm here tonight because I've had so many messages today. Jimmy, is this true? Jimmy, and to be honest, I've not dived head in first and been speaking to a lot of people. As you would imagine, people at the club at the minute are absolutely on the floor. They will come round. They will try their best to be fit and firing in the next coming days, week or two maybe. But they're really low, a lot of people. And a lot of people I regularly speak to are very low. And it's not really the time, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, for me to be approaching them and saying, hey, what do you reckon to this? Hey, what, you know, is it true about this player? How much interest have we had in Gus? Does Viní really want to leave or does he not? And I think you've just got to be a little bit, sensitive is the wrong word, but aware of how raw this is, not just for us fans, for everybody involved that it directly impacts as well. So the other side of it is, because again, I talk about a lot of the brilliant things that our Platinum Ramblers group brings to us. And it certainly brings a wide array of opinions. But I always talk about it giving me a snapshot of how the fan base feels. And that's all it is, because I appreciate it's just over 100 people, but all like a real core of dedicated Sheffield United fans. So I thank them for being as vocal and as respectful to each other as they are, because the opinions really do differ. And it's the scale of concern, really, at some of the rumours that are coming, and that's what they are, they're rumours. We have no concrete evidence of anything. The prime example today would be Football Insider, and I'm crediting them because I don't know whether this is right or not, but they set hairs racing today by saying the Sheffield United board of directors are considering the future of Chris Wilder. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean they're going to sack him, which is the go-to for some people in terms of that's their interpretation of that? Does it mean they are reviewing his performance across the season and going to have in their mind an idea of what they expect going into next season? Because obviously the aim is promotion again. But is Chris Wilder, ultimately the conversation will be, is Chris Wilder the right man? That's due diligence in a business. But the fact that it's come out as a headline, we have to sort of sift through what is clickbait and what is assumptions from certain corners of the media. What you will find in this area, and probably any local area, local news outlets, you won't get that sort of careless speculation. You talk to Danny Hall, you talk to Rob Staten, you talk to anybody at Radio Sheffield or the Sheffield Star, people who are close to the club, they wouldn't put out outlandish rumours without any substance. It's very easy. Imagine what the interactions from Sheffield United fans that Football Insider story has got today. Well, it's nothing. There's nothing actually. It doesn't say they are going to sack Chris Wilder, because that's a statement, isn't it? This is they are considering, and it means nothing. It's a wet point that they're making in terms of, well, we're never going to be able to prove or disprove that, but by making it a headline, you're sensationalizing it. The owners, I'll just get this out there right now, the owners may be considering sacking Chris Wilder. They might. But do you really think we'll know about it, for one? And it's natural to have that sort of thought process, into not to sack him, but to what do we do next season? It's a natural course of action because we've had a fantastic season, and I will keep banging that drum that it's been a brilliant season. But ultimately, as Wilder himself has said, we failed in our goal. So they may well feel that we need a change then because we need to achieve our goal. But they may also feel that we were very unlucky, came so close, and Chris Wilder's the right man to take us forward. So it really annoys me with these sensationalist headlines because it does, and I see the impact it has, again, just on our small representation of the fan base. But it's made to drive traffic to that platform that are, but it's like a clickbait YouTube video. If I titled this, must not miss, you cannot miss this ramble, I might get 10% more views. But what I'm not guaranteeing you anything by saying that, am I? I'm not saying all will be revealed. It's just sensationalist, and it does my head in, I'll be honest. Danny Hall, who we've touched on, and he's been on the channel, friend of the channel, lead writer, I believe, for Sheffield Star now. Really well informed, really close to the club. Tweets out regularly to keep people informed as well. Follow him on X if you're not already. And I'm going to refer to something, and I think it was Jamie Dumpling that posted this in our group chat. Danny said on X, regarding the Wilder future story today, I've not heard anything along those lines from my sources. And people often say that, my sources. We've got a couple in group that say, my sources say. Danny's, and they might have, to be fair. I know a lot of people have people close to Ollie Arblaster and things like that we've got in the group. We have got connections like through third parties and things. So I'm not saying other people aren't reliable, but people like Danny, we know I've got a dedicated links into the club. Regarding the Wilder future story today, not heard anything along those lines from my sources. I'd imagine almost every boss's position is examined every summer as part of a review of the season. Doesn't necessarily mean their job is under serious threat. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. It's worth remembering COH, not Callum O'Hare, only gave Wilder a new deal a few months ago and were supportive in the aftermath of Saturday's playoff defeat. Now, that can be misconstrued. We've heard the dreaded vote of confidence is always wheeled out. We back the manager just about before they're about to sack him. I sometimes think public statements don't often mean a lot from owners. But they did come out and publicly back him and say, look, he's going to be our man going forward. There is a bit of vulnerability there now if they were to go back on their word straight away. They've got a lot right so far, but meaning the owners, but taking a huge step like this would only divide the fan base when unity is surely the best way to go again. And these, well said, Danny, by the way, and I completely agree. The very few people I've spoken to are not concerned that Chris Wilder is at risk of losing his job. I haven't confirmed it. As I say, I haven't been as active as I would maybe normally be when these sort of stories crop up. But again, I think it's built for traffic, and it's built for people to sort of set airs racing, like we've talked about. Another story that's been doing the rounds is Viní Souza. 2 days ago, there were stories circulating. Viní Souza's desperate to go. He wants to play in the Brazil side, and he doesn't see himself meeting his ambitions here at Sheffield United in the Championship. Wants to move to the Premier League or abroad. Understandable. Don't know if he's said it, but it would be understandable. So it's plausible, isn't it, that might be a situation. Can anybody confirm where he's actually said this? Did anybody witness him saying this? I'm not convinced. So I don't buy into that until there's a more reputable source. I don't know where the original story came from, to be honest. But then today, it's, Viní Souza actually is quite settled at Sheffield United, and he's not going to force a move. If a move comes along, he'll consider it because he does want to better himself. And exactly the same has happened with Gus Hamer. Everybody's linking Gus Hamer away, My mate Connor's done 15 videos on him on one Leeds. Shout out to Connor. Hope you're doing well, pal. Enjoying your summer. A little bit more than some of us at the minute, but we'll get there. And it comes out today. I think Danny might have confirmed it. I don't mean to put words in his mouth, but saying that there's going to be no real push from Gus Hamer to leave Sheffield United. So it's all speculative, isn't it, at the minute? I can tell you little dribs and drabs of what I know when I get it, and I will. And there'll be a point where things do settle, and I'll be able to, or I'll be comfortable going back in and saying, what do you reckon to this? And are you comfortable with me sharing this? And we will get you the information. But I think at times, I'm not, I don't want to be coming here with fire extinguisher every day in terms of, oh, I know that our blaster's been linked away today, but don't worry, that's not happening. It shouldn't be what it's about. It's more of a call to action for everybody to say, calm, don't worry, don't, until something's a little bit further down the line. And you're not going to know that, and I'm not necessarily going to know that either. But I think until you start hearing it from several reputable sources, then is the time to start thinking, oh, well, maybe there's some legs in it. And ultimately, we can get by without any one player. The manager is a different conversation. And some people, having heard that today, will be thinking, oh, well, maybe. The question I would ask is, who's better than Chris Wilder to get us out of this situation? And if you can't easily or give me several reasons as to why a Steve Cooper, for example, would be better than Chris Wilder, why would he be? And I'm not saying he's not, but I think you've got to give a reasonable argument as to why he's not just on a par with, he's got to be a level above, because otherwise there's no point in changing. Sean Dyche spent the most of his managerial career in the Premier League. Maybe that's a big tick in his box. Maybe you don't want to come to the Championship. Who knows? So there's all sorts of things that you have to consider, aren't there? So it was just more a case of, let's try not to get too ingrained and engrossed into some of the sensationalist stories, because it can be, you can let it run away with yourself, and it can drive you mad. It can drive you absolutely crazy. So one thing I will chuck in there before I start reading comments, if you think things are bad at Sheffield United, which they're not. We've had a disappointing end to a very good season. Just look at what's happening over at Road. Rob Staten, per sources, understand that there's been another delay in payment of wages at Sheffield Wednesday this month. Follows a similar issue in March. Payment was eventually made in April. Obviously, Rob, another reputable source, very close to all the local clubs at Radio Sheffield. So there's definite legs to that. Mike McGrath, he's a national journalist, has backed what Rob has said there. Rob broke this news, from what I understand. Look, it's never funny to me, people not getting paid, because it's one thing professional footballers at this level, where they get very well paid, missing a week's wages. If this again stretches to staff members and people behind the scenes at Wednesday, you forget your colours and you just say it's absolutely ridiculous and completely unacceptable. It is anyway. It's tin pot, isn't it? And we never talk about them on here, but I think some things are just unacceptable, and you've got to pay even your players. There's no excuse for not paying any of them. They're entitled to that brass. They turn up. Well, sometimes they turn up on very rarely this season. But you know what I mean? In terms of, it's not, a lot of people watching now will have Wendy friends and Wendy family members, and people might work at the club. We've talked about this last time it happened. I don't want to repeat myself again, but sort yourself out, Chansiri. By all means, keep them in doldrums. Don't put any money into the actual on the field side of things, but pay your staff. Pay your staff. Absolutely pathetic from you, to be honest. Anyway, Dino starts us off tonight. Hey up, Jimmy. I've turned off to a degree at the minute with social media. It's 50% rubbish anyway. This is what I mean. You can't get caught up in the headlines, can you? There will be serious links coming to Sheffield United. There'll be links away from Sheffield United, and we will lose, I think, 2, maybe 3 players. But we'll also strengthen, and that will be exciting for us as well. You know, we've been linked with an array of people. Another name that got mentioned, I were told definitely in our chat, definitely, we want Borja Sainz, because I know someone who knows the owners. I'm not going to call him out, and it's all his good, pal, because he's messaged me today and we're all good. But I definitely know we're going to get Borja Sainz. We're getting him. I think he's signed for Bilbao today. I don't know whether he's actually gone, but this is what I mean. Borja Sainz is a stretch. I know we're a big club in this division, and we are a big club in this division, but we're not people's first choice. We're not the best players. So say he's in the top 10 of the best players in this league, we might not be their first choice. They may get better offers than Sheffield United. We love them. We'd sign for them, but they won't. There's no affiliation, is there? We're in with 3 more teams that have come down from Premier League. You can't say they're more attractive, but Leicester, Southampton, and Ipswich will be just as attractive a proposition as signing for Sheffield United will this season. So I just think we've got to be a little bit more realistic about it, to be honest. Up the Blades and up the Ramble. Like and subscribe, says Dino. Thank you, pal. I just want to say I wasn't going to jump about as much, but we've just surpassed 2,000 subscribers on Behind the Ramble as well. I put out a video about my first day as an Uber driver, I think it was yesterday, and that's done really well. So thank you to everybody that supports us over there. If you're not already, it's just a little bit of different content to what you see over here. We also do all our rival watch-alongs. We'll be doing some stuff from the semis and the final of the Nations League, just because we want to keep our football fix going, to be honest. We'll be playing match bingo as well. We'll be looking at some of the Club World Cup fixtures and just trying to keep ticking over as a channel in terms of, people knowing that we're here, and we understand that people need their fix, and we do too. So we'll be there if anybody needs. Charlie says, "Evening, Jimmy. Hope you're well. First time commenting." Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate that, pal. Always welcome here, mate. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Joe says, "If we somehow keep Gus and Viní, we could seriously have a real chance of putting up a very good fight next year with some high additions included this window." Science. See what I mean? Joey, come on. I know you're punching, but too many punches? What's going on there? What's going on, pal? Jimmy Dunn, yes. Yes, I would be amazed if Jimmy Dunn doesn't sign. But as we all know, things change very quickly in football. Even if it could even be 90, 95% done. But then 11th hour, Southampton might decide, oh, well, we need a right back. So we could potentially swoop in there and do something about it. So you never know, do you? Hi, Jimmy, says Steve Holmes. Would like Andy's honest opinion on Hamza Chowdhury. I honestly thought it was different gravy. His interceptions for me were outstanding. I have never witnessed that with any other Blades defenders, along with his ball-winning capacity being crucial in many games this season. Does he think we should buy him? Good point, Steve. Good point. Talking about Andy the Blade, because Steve is well aware, as I put in our group earlier today, Tuesday, the main man makes his return. What now? Who could go and who should go? Talking sense with Andy the Blade. That will be our new, hopefully, monthly feature. Look, he should have been on a month ago, but he's never in the country. I can never nail him down. So he's promised me he will come on for a regular spot. We're going to be looking at the Sheffield United side, how he thought the season's gone, answering a lot of questions like Steve's just asked there in terms of, do you think we should have kept Hamza Chowdhury? Is there a chance we might go back in for him? I know Steve were a huge, and myself, but Steve were particularly a huge champion of bringing Hamza in. He's obviously loved what he's seen from Hamza. Were you surprised that we didn't activate what we believe to be a £5 million purchase clause? But if Jimmy Dunn's coming in for free, or no transfer fee, I should say, then is there any need for Hamza Chowdhury at a £5 million outlay? I don't know. So this is on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Join us here live. We're live. But also, before that, Sunday night, it's the return of the 3 Mardy Blades. Playoffs, retain lists, and the future. Join myself, Dave the Nose, and Paul the Man Mountain for a look back on the past few weeks, let's just say. So yeah, that's we'll get his opinion, Steve. Don't you worry about that, pal. I know you're keen to join us on that stream, so there you go, mate. That's when and where it's happening. Matt says, who's going to pay what we would want for him when he can only play 70 minutes and gets a lot of suspensions? He is incredible, but inconsistent. It's not a dig. If he wasn't, it wouldn't be playing for us. Up the Blades. Matt, absolutely, 100%. bang on. Absolutely bang on. There's no... I cannot agree with this point more, and it's something that we've said recently ourselves in terms of it's not what he's worth in terms of, you can't put a price tag on Gus Hamer and say, well, he's only worth 15 million quid. Well, it might be as a player, but what is he worth to Sheffield United? What difference? What's it going to cost for us? Not to go like for like, because we won't get a like for like with Gus Hamer, but what is it going to? Is it going to take away 15 million pounds worth of impact in our first team, or is it going to take away more than that? And if you think it's more, then you raise your price, don't you? Particularly when he's under contract. We might want 20 million. I've seen some talking about 25. We won't get 25. And maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the point that we don't want to sell. So it's not as cut and dry. And that's another thing that Danny raised himself today, Danny Hall on X, when asked about it. It's not a foregone conclusion that Gus goes. Certainly not a foregone conclusion that Viní Souza goes. If we get another left field bid, like we have in the past, CD Peck might go. Ryan One might go. I'm expecting a bid for Ryan One, personally. And that might offset some of the headaches that we have to think about in who we're going to sell. So, believe it or not, we could hold on to some of these big hitters and go again. Can you imagine just keeping this crop and adding Jimmy Dunn, and then maybe adding a legit right winger, maybe Poku. And, I'm not saying we will get him, but maybe Poku, for example. We're already looking great, in my opinion. Another centre half, or a couple more centre halves, but that's a different story altogether. And not a major loss, says Matt. If we bring in Darling and Dunn, if anything, it's an upgrade, and Viní would be a massive loss. But Blaster's coming back, so heads up, because we'll be going up next year. Up the Blades, Matt, you'll do for me, pal. You'll do for me. Does anybody know why it comes up as a huge bubble and covers half of the screen? I have no idea how to alter that. If any YouTube experts want to let me know, because usually it's just a little bit down at the bottom, which is great. And I know people want my face covered up, which is fine, but I just wanted to know if there's anybody that like. Anyway, Boss Baby says, any chance that we can sign Hamza and Harry Suter? These two Leicester guys are so much capable. I don't think we'll sign Chowdhury because we had the opportunity to sign him. We may go back and try and renegotiate a lower fee. I can't see it personally. And if we get Jimmy Dunn in, do we really want Hamza as a midfielder when we've still got, at the moment, Viní, Blaster, Peck, and Hamer that can play there as well? Tom Davis. You won't pay 5 million for another one, would you? Even though he's a very good player. So we'll see. Ben says, in terms of Harry Suter, I think it's solely injury dependent. There is a chance we get him out of Leicester, but only if he's fit. Ben says, Evening Jimmy will be linked with Oxlade-Chamberlain and Firmino again. So I don't believe 99% of the rumour mill. I don't want Wilder to leave, but I trust the new owner's decisions. Up the Blades, up all the Rambles, like and subscribe. Thank you, mate. Also, Jimmy, what do you think of Kieran Brown at Oxford? Left-sided centre-half, and won 2 of their Player of the Season awards this season. I think it would be a shrewd bit of business. Oxford have got some really good players, actually. Really good players. Yeah, I like Kieran Brown. It would have been Hellick if he'd have been there all season, I think. Hellick, who myself and particularly Andy the Blade were very keen on and got laughed at for suggesting in January. Man Mountain, you know who you are. They've got a couple. Brannigan in the middle, a very good player. And the one I'm the biggest fan of is the goalkeeper. Come in. Yeah, good. Don't mind that at all. There's a couple of really good. I like Bobby Thomas at Coventry. If you liked the goalkeeper video, and you'll have to let me know the feedback on that, because that was quite in depth for us, really, particularly on one position. And usually those things don't always hit because they can be quite niche. But if people seem to enjoy it, and the views were very good. So if you like that sort of content, we can move forward and do right back, left back. Centre halves will be a big one, and go through the team if that's what you want us to do. It's a fan-led channel in terms of the content. I come up with, several ideas, but some hit, some don't, and I also get given some idea. 90 after 90 were a PNUK idea. Shout out to Paul Nicholson. And thank you for the support you give us, pal. Can't believe I'm seeing reports of Wilder leaving. He just got a new contract. Load of rubbish. There you go. Even Beast Boy don't believe it. And this boy believes in unicorns and Ryan Brewster recovery arcs and Sam Curtis coming in and taking the league by storm. So if Beast Boy don't believe it, you know it's shout out Beast Boy. You know I love you, pal. The only reports that I've seen that I 100% believe is that Ricky J. Jones is coming. Don't believe it. Don't want it. Don't believe it. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying do not believe it. I'm saying I don't believe it. So again, that is an opinion because I have not been sniffing around and asking, but where does Ricky J. Jones fit in this side? He's a forward. You'd shove him out again on the right or the left, which isn't his natural position. We play one up front. He's quick, but very raw. Not for me. Matt says, down people, and they're more, I heard things. I really think Hamer might stay unless someone came in with a stupid bid anyway, up the Blades, up the Ramble. Yeah, I think people are like this, aren't they? From day to day, Matt. And it's swinging because of what they're seeing and what they're reading, and I understand it. And it's natural to sort of see something and think, but it's not our first go around as Blades, is it? We should know that. Like somebody said, Frank Ribeiro will be linked next. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain will be coming. It's the same thing a lot of the time. I think it's normal for the board to make a decision on the manager at the end of each season. Doesn't have to be negative. Could be that they're just confirming he's the man. Exactly right, Jack. Exactly right. And we can't forget as well, something that somebody said to us last night was, we're 3 weeks behind everybody else. We have been working to 2 plans, but you can't press go on either plan until you know which division you're in. So you can't be signing off deals. You can prep them like we talked about, but we are slightly behind in terms of timescales. We haven't got as long to process everything as everybody else. David says, evening, Jimmy, and the worldwide Ramblers. And off we go. Silly season. Sorry, closed season. We're sacking the gaffer, getting world-class players, and I'm 18 again and on the lash. Up all the Rambles, up the Blades, 9K incoming. That is crazy to even think, innit? Absolutely crazy. But, you know, is it doable? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Thank you to everybody that supports us. It's incredible, really. Cooler King says, evening Ramblers. Interesting to hear about Chris Wilder. I know he's very popular with a lot of Blades fans. Sheffield United is the best club for Chris Wilder, but I'm not sure Chris Wilder is the best manager for Sheffield United. Again, I always value Cooler King's independent opinion as a Villa fan. So it's interesting to know that people are sort of, yeah, I can see why they might consider his future or whatever it might be. I don't think we'll make a change, personally. Joe says, purely off the noise from the last few days, I feel like Anel's the only big name to leave. I feel like no one will match the big prices we may want for big players. If we want 20 to 25 for Gus, I don't see anyone matching it, considering he was available for 17 last year and now he's older. And for Viní, 15 to 20 isn't a small sum. We have the chance to be a proper team. Absolutely right. And you also have to think about, if we do lose these players, it will be for big money. And that is a consolation, because Viní Souza is a great player when he's available. I had somebody messaging me the other day and we were talking about it. He's only fit for 70% at season. He usually has a lengthy spell out, doesn't he? Gus can't, like has been said earlier, can't go past 70 minutes comfortably. You know, his discipline's really poor. He can be sloppy in possession. For everything he does, great. And we are nitpicking very good players. But if we get a premium for him, just as I tip my head over this comment to try and be seen, then if we get a premium for him, then maybe all parties are happy. Joe Atkinson says, if Wilder is to leave, I wouldn't mind Cifuentes, but I think the Americans will want a big name similar to Lampard. I can't see Gus or Viní settling for sitting on the bench in the Prem. No, I can't either. I think Gus probably gets in and around Everton's team, if I'm honest. I think Viní would do a job for a couple of Premier League sides. They're not Premier League ready in terms of the definite Premier League players, and they will definitely make an impact. But they are good squad, certainly good options at Premier League level. I think they both walk into Leeds' side, if I'm honest, and they will probably say the same. Burnley won't turn either of them down. So there will be teams that are interested in him. It's just whether they're willing to pay it. Aaron says, CW will leave on good terms. He won't leave, I don't think. But before the takeover, the owners wanted their own man, and I can see that happening now. Fair dues, pal. I disagree, but that's up to you. Wilder is going nowhere, says Brett. Too much of a risk. And who's got a better CV with more promotions on it? Who knows the club? And he deserves to finish the rebuild. In Wilder, we trust. Up all the Rambles. Yeah, and look, don't get me wrong. It's a fine balance here because I hold nothing back in terms of how I feel on things on certain players. Certainly on the manager, I am very pro Chris Wilder. That doesn't mean, like Aaron, if Wilder gets sacked, I can see us doing a Brighton and using the AI data-driven to find a manager. People that are saying that a change is needed, we've had people in our chat today saying that as well. I want you to feel like you can come on and say that without anybody shooting you down, because I certainly won't be shooting anyone down for having a different opinion to me. This is what the platform's about. It's about finding out what you want to say, what you want to put out there in terms of, I think it might be time. We've had those conversations in the chat today. So, yeah, everybody's welcome, and every opinion is. It's not a pro Chris Wilder channel just because my opinion is pro Chris Wilder, if that makes sense. Joe says there's no better man for the job in relation to knowing the club and what the fans want. Yeah, I can't see him being a big fan of the data-driven signings. COH may look for someone who is someone younger, maybe. Yeah, potentially they could. They could. I'll be surprised, if I'm honest. I'll be surprised if they make the change now. I think they will give him the chance to keep going. It is like going to be another. It's certainly the second part of the rebuild, isn't it, or the second half of the rebuild. And if we lose a couple of big hitters, then it'll be an even bigger job. So it's a tough gig. I think he'll get the chance to do it, personally. Even though Chris has done an okay job, says John, the decisions he made by not using Holding, yeah, I agree with that. Didn't like the fact that Holding sat on the bench. When Robbo made the mistakes in that 3-game week in a week losses and other poor decisions will have contributed. So we give him the criticism for that, and possibly rightly so, John. But we've also got 92 points. So we've got to say that he's responsible, or he's certainly contributed to that ante as well. So it's a difficult balancing act, isn't it? Difficult balancing act. Cooler King says, as an outsider looking in, sometimes I think with all due respect, the club comes across as Chris Wilder FC rather than Sheffield United FC. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder if other people think that, because he is such a big character. I can see that possibly seeping through. Scott says, I've got a weird feeling this Wilder story has come because of the possibility Wilder is stubborn. New owners have been raving about this AI approach, and clearly it's not for the Wilder. Clearly it's not for Wilder, and maybe it's come to a head. See, that's the speculation that comes with articles like we've seen today. Sort of chuck it in, watch it ripple, and see the after effects. And maybe if it causes a big enough ruckus, the club might comment on it, or Chris Wilder might comment on it, or whatever it might be. How do we know? New owners have been raving about the AI approach, which we do know. And clearly it's not for Wilder. We don't know that, do we, Scott? I know we're assuming that, knowing what we know about him, because he does like the eye test and he's talked about it himself. But we don't know, do we? We don't know that he's not on board with it. I think he's been a very different manager in terms of he's a lot more inclusive than he ever was before. We got tagged with Brexit FC when he was previously in charge because of his preference to sign British-based players. Now, you could still point towards he's done a lot of that anyway, still, and he's because he knows that market. But he's also included Viní Souza and Ahmed Hodzic, Gus Hamer, all these other players that come from, that aren't just local lads and coming from other teams. I mean, Gus has come from other teams in the division, hasn't he? But you know what I mean? It's Wilder's number one hater says, thanks for the memories, but it's time to go. Okay. Drew says, I don't think Wilder and the coaching staff have done that much wrong. It warrants that much wrong. It warrants a sacking. One of the things I've always liked about them is things tend to improve and lessons tend to be learned. I hope you're right, Drew. I hope you're right, because there have been mistakes this season, which we've all sort of spotted and commented on. But the bigger picture is we've had a very, very good season. It's frustrating because we've seen flaws where we could have maybe done that a little bit better. So that's why it sort of irks away at you, particularly the things that were easily changeable. Joe says, accepting anything below high value for Gus and Viní would be daft if the stories are true, and they'd be happy to stay at the club. As for Wilder, I think sacking him would be harsh and a tad mental. Fair dues, mate. Danny says, evening, Jimmy. We need to keep CW. He needs to finish his rebuild, up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Danny was just joined as a Rambler. Thank you for your support, pal. Josh says, hi, Jim. If Wilder did get sacked, who would you bring in? Up the Blades, up the Ramble. This is the question, isn't it? Because there's a lot of names out there that regularly get linked to the championship. Cifuentes is a new one to chuck in there. You don't know what the owners are going to do in terms of left field appointments. You know, could they go? Could it be a Hull type board where they pluck out somebody from obscurity? Could it be like somebody mentioned earlier, a Lampard appointment? Somebody like a John Terry or, God forbid, Wayne Rooney, which is obviously pie in the sky now because he's done so badly in management. But getting a big name player because they think that will sort of bleed into maybe a Vincent Kompany type. Obviously, he's at Bayern now, but when Burnley picked him up, maybe that sort of appointment. Or you go back to the usual names that we would be more comfortable with if Wilder were to leave, which is your proven championship, borderline Premier League managers. So the names that will get mentioned will be Steve Cooper, Gary O'Neill, and Sean Dyche. They're the ones that stand out to me. And out of those, I think Sean Dyche would be most appropriate to lead Sheffield United. But he is a distant second to Chris Wilder, in my opinion. Give Wilder another year, then review, says James. I think it's an ongoing thing, isn't it, with managers? Because if you get to Christmas and we're 9th, then you might want to make a change going into January, might you? But I know what you're saying, James. I don't think that's too far away. Seeing Blackburn have offered Ty Dolan a contract, would jump in and offer him a deal, says Kyle. Him, Dunn, and Knight would be my early targets for the season. What does Ty Dolan give us that we haven't already got? I'm just going to cough a minute. Ty Dolan, in my opinion, is a highlight reel player. He's a YouTube player. You'll look for highlights of Tyrese Dolan on YouTube, and you'll be impressed. Ask a Coventry fan or a Blackburn fan what they think of Ty Dolan, and they will maybe give you a different opinion. Hot and cold. It might be a little bit like. Do you know what it strikes me of? The similarity I can give is I think he's a slightly better player than this, but he's a touch older as well. I think he's in a similar ilk to Andre Brooks. I'm not saying that they're a brilliant comparison in terms of player for player, but in terms of consistency, in terms of Ty Dolan's output is better, but he's played for the majority of the season. So you could argue if Brooks were doing that, then he might have got up to a similar output. But some games, Andre Brooks will turn up and he'll be brilliant. And I mean really good. One of the best players on the pitch, if not the best player at times. And other times, Andre Brooks will turn up and you'll be moaning and groaning with every misplaced pass that he does, or every time he turns around and goes backwards, because that's the inconsistency that you get with youth. And I think Tyrese Dolan falls into that category. And look, he's going on a free. I don't know whether he's still young enough where you'd have to pay a tribunal fee to Blackburn. I would pick him up on a free. But for people that think he's going to come in and be this, and I'm not saying Kyle thinks this because that's not what he said, but people that have been talking in our chat have, and this is just my opinion on it, I don't think he impacts our first team. If Callum O'Hare can't get in our first team, Tyrese Dolan is not getting in. Not a chance. Not a chance, in my opinion. We're in silly season, boys, says CJ. Yes, we are, pal. Hope you're doing well. Big T, Ramble on the Road, legend, Big Tony. That will be hopefully coming out. In fact, that will come out tomorrow, won't it? Because I promised Big Tony we'd release it once we got to 2K on Ramble, on Behind the Ramble. So Big Tony, a huge part of the cast of Wembley editions, the Wembley edition of Ramble on the Road. I'll have to make sure. Remind me, T, to schedule that when we come off. Remind me to schedule it, and I'll do it. A lot of talk about who's going and who's staying. One thing I do know is I'll be there, backing who's in a red and white shirt. Well said, Big Tony. Wait while you guys see Big Tony making his Ramble on the Road debut. First time on screen with his lad Joseph and little G, his missus. So thank you for doing that, pal. And I hope to see you on an awful lot more next season. Ian says, like and subscribe, please. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up the 2K behind the Ramble. Yes, mate. 10K across 2 channels. We're really proud of that, aren't we? It's something we've worked hard on. And yeah, thank you to everybody that's done that and helped us get over those hurdles. Hope you're well, Jim. Keep smashing it. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you for your support, pal. Blade Warney says, first signing of the summer should be Lewis O'Brien at Swansea. Best player last half of the season. Surely one of a Peck Souza goal. Look, Lewis O'Brien is in the ilk of regularly circulated names with Sheffield United. We definitely like him. I definitely like him. My dad likes him. And that's always a good barometer for me. I know people might think I'm not bothered what Jimmy and Andy think, but I always go to my dad in terms of what do you think to him? And if he's watched enough of the player and he backs him, that's good enough for me most of the time. Sometimes we disagree, but not a lot. But a lot of people I know in our chat and a lot of my pals, Unitedites now, are fans of Lewis O'Brien. And if we get a sniff of signing him, I will be all over it, to be honest, because I think he is one of those that's above average in the Championship. And even if he turns out to be a squad player for us, a little bit like Tom Davies is at the moment, whenever he's fit, he is a really good backup, a really good sort of man to be involved in and around the first team. He's not going to get in over Ollie Arblaster, or if Sidney Peck's still here, he's not going to get in front of Sidney Peck, in my opinion. He's certainly not going to get in front of Viní Souza. But if, like you say, if Viní and or Peck leave, Lewis O'Brien, great signing to add. Yeah, I'm all over that, Warney. Good shout. Dino says, I'm Wilder in. I can't see them giving him a contract a few weeks ago, well, a few months ago now, to be fair, but it were a decent contract, weren't it? And then going back on it when we've overachieved, I don't believe it. Shout out Mark Meldrew. S says, imagine if they sacked Wilder and got sausage rolling. I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to comment. Michael says, at least they'll get paid. Realistically, the same happened to Leeds last season with the sales of RotR, Somerville and Gary. But as long as you put the money back into the team, you'll be fine and pushing for promotion. Yeah, I think we will. I think we will as well. Whatever we sell, I'm not saying everything because obviously there's a loss to offset, but we will be backed. The manager will be backed this summer. I'm confident of it. Some people are whipping it up, says James. Absolutely right. And it's their job in the media to do that, in the national media. I'm not blaming anybody for it. It's just I feel like we've got a platform here where we can come on and say, just calm for now. If you can get your head around it, you don't have to sort of snap at every headline and, oh my God, they're going to sack Wilder. Oh my God, Viní Souza's going now. Because yesterday, Vinny's staying out because yesterday we're going. Gus is staying now. Well, tomorrow it might come out that, you know, his hometown club, I forget who they are, abroad, might be in for him. And he thinks, oh, well, it's like happened with Williman. It's a move I can't turn down. You can't keep hand-faced, Jimmy lad. You've got to move on, says Tommy K. That's your opinion, pal. That's your opinion. And some Blades will agree with you. Hey up, Jim Bob Arena. Jim Bob Arena. Okay. We will be okay. Back top six again, mate. Nice one, Rick. Hope you're well, bud. Hope you're doing well. You need a Steve Cooper, says Tommy K. Some Blades might agree. Ricky from Just United says he's the best option for us at the moment, but as an overall, maybe not. I can't sit here and pull him apart, but what he accomplished for us is amazing. One thing in football is you should never be, drumroll, sentimental, and I will give every opportunity until Christmas under the new ownership and see where we are before I pass judgment up the Blades, up the Ramble. Ricky the Executioner, hanging around with his big scythe ready to chop Wilder's head off. Neil says, evening, Jimmy, we need a bit of spring clean and end a few players from the Blades, i.e. Reece, Norrington Davis and Shackleton, and a few free up some money for wages, and we'll start should we start a GoFundMe for the poor S6 in-laws? I know it's poor, isn't it, what's happening over there, Neil, to be honest, really poor. Mitch says, I think maybe after another season, if we don't get promoted, I'd only start to have that conversation. Unless he starts the season like Slav, but he's one of our own, so back him. Enjoyed the side hustle video. Thank you, pal. Yeah, it was something completely different for us over on Behind the Ramble. Bit of Jimmy Uber. We haven't yet decided what we're going to call it, but I'm hoping to jump back in the car tomorrow, so there'll be more content to come in that vein because people seem to enjoy it. So fingers crossed that can pick up and go all right. And keep the lights on at Ramble HQ over the summer. 3 words for social media, says Maury. don't believe it. And speaking of the man himself, he says, some right drivel being spouted online. Wilder all the way for me. Right additions in and have a right good go at it from August. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up the positive Meldrew. I'm still yet to see anybody else end their comment with that. But it'll be some celebration when it happens. Mike Morris says he hit 90 points, which is a great achievement in the championship. I think getting rid of him wouldn't be the best thing to do, in my opinion. Completely agree from a dirty Leeds man, as it says on his badge. Lee says Chris Wilder is 100% the right man to lead us into the next season and onwards. To build a new team and squad, win 92 points and finish third is an excellent achievement. We missed by a third of a game at Wembley. Yes, we did. We did. It were 30 minutes of football, weren't it? Louder, Lee, says Mark. I think Anel will go, says Maury. Evening, Jimmy, says Bran. I think a board discussion like the one they're having is only natural after the season's events. I don't think they will. He'll get next season. I'm confident of that. Me too, Bran. I'd put in caps, Chris Wilder will stay. Maury confident he'll stay then. Good to know. Neil says, with all the best will in the world, Viní Souza won't get in the Brazilian national team. He is too injury prone to build any stock in his performances. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. He's a good player. When he's playing at his best, he's one of the best in the division. There's no doubt about it. But then it's a massive leap up to the Premier League, isn't it? Until he can do it at that sort of level, I don't think he'll even get considered for Brazil. So maybe that's in his thinking. And maybe there is weight to what has been said. But we don't know, do we? Because it's already been contradicted today or yesterday. So it's all just to fuel paper talk, really, from the national press, not the local press. I want to reiterate that. That is where you'll get your clarity. People that are close to the club. Radio Sheffield, Sheffield Star, Blades Ramble. There you three. Cooper's a level above Wilder in the champ. Maybe two. Oh, yeah. Did he win LMA manager at year as well? He might have done. I'm not convinced he did. Gaz says, I'm sure we will keep our best players if we can, but we won't turn down stupid money. We've done well in this area in recent years, and my thoughts are that the new owners will do the same. Brilliant to have Gaz Dunn back involved in the channel. Thank you as well for your support in making our Ramble on the Road at Wembley a very special video indeed, because don't worry, there's no match footage. It's all about the experience of going down to Wembley as a Blade and getting in and amongst it. So thank you to everybody that took part. Really good video that. You can have Farker when we get Bo Henriksen, as Bamford sang about Wilder. Are you changing your manager then? 100 points and champions. Okay. Brand says, he started building a team last summer. The squad in reality is currently half-baked. He's got the chance to complete the team this summer. With the new board, we're now a powerful club at this level. I agree, Brad. I think so too. I hope the company's doing the pitch and the academy upgrades at S6 have been paid up front. Awkward. Brand says, for the record, I don't want him gone either. There's no one else I'd want. Well said, mate. Righteous One says, I'd have Viní as a squad player, but not bothered about Aimer. Aimer's better than any number 10 anywhere near your squad at the minute. But you've got to get him fit and firing to prove that. Tazzy says 6 to 8 decent performances all season, $500,000 in fines. Time for him to control the team and himself or leave. Leaves a lot to be desired against teams, on teams, formations, players out of positions. I agree with this. I don't think our performances have been brilliant or sparkling for a lot of the season. I think they've been workmanlike a lot of the way. We have got the results, and that is ultimately the main thing that matters. We have got the results, but it hasn't been convincing on many occasions. The loss of discipline in the squad also, I think he leans into that a little bit in terms of the discipline. He wants players to fight for the shirt and be seen to be all together. And I do think it does build that togetherness within a squad, but you don't have to overstep the mark. I love the fact that they're willing to fight for each other quite literally at times, but you don't have, there's a line in there, and don't get the club fined £500,000 for your actions on the pitch. And he has at times instigated that as well. Rich says, good evening, Jimmy. Thank you for clearing things up. No problem, pal. Hope you're well. And I'll check and see if you've got back to me about what you're going to be doing and stuff like that. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Cooler King says, I think they'd want a CW replacement to be more adaptable, more attacking, less stubborn, a bit calmer, use the subs better. There's a few little points there that you raised, pal. I'm afraid I don't know enough about European football to give you a name. Yeah, me neither, pal. Me neither. And that is also part of the debate. You might be frustrated with what Wilder's done this season as a Blade. But unless you can come up with somebody better, with evidence to say that there will be better, then even if you're disappointed in his individual performance, which I don't agree with, there's got to be a better option in order for you to push the button, hasn't there? Surely that's how it works. My mate works for Pigs. He's been paid 30% of his wages. That's a fact. That's ridiculous. Chansiri's a Blades legend, but getting paid. My mate's going to Cornwall with family next week, and he's not rich. This is exactly right, Dino, innit? This is exactly what it's about, and that's an absolute disgrace, to be honest. An absolute disgrace. It's not, as I say, it's not acceptable not to pay any of the players, to not pay anyone. The players deserve paying as much as anybody else. But there are differences in severity in terms of what getting a wage or what don't get a wage 1 week means. Some people live hand to mouth with wages, and that is an absolute disgrace to not look after your people. Cooler King says it may be that CW knows fully he needs to improve in these areas. Full well, I suppose you mean. He needs to improve in these areas, and that the owners are willing to let him try. Scott says Science is still at Norwich. It's all media talk and no offers yet. It won't be coming to Sheffield United, pal. That's my point, really. But yeah, again, similar around Science. It's the same sort of thing, isn't it? As we've got with Gus and Viní. You know, they're not being linked to Southampton, are they? They're being linked for bigger clubs, essentially, or certainly clubs in a better position than us. To be fair, it's not going up is not the end of the world, to be honest, says Maury. William says, hey, hi, Jimmy, have you heard anything on the training complex at Door lately? No, it's still a couple of years away, I think, William. I don't even know whether that will be pushed back a little bit. I don't think it will because of the new ownership. I don't think it was promotion dependent, but that would have certainly kept it well on track in terms of the budgets. But we're some way off it being completed. Liam says, evening, Jim. Sadly, Wilder is not the new ownership's man, but we all know he's the man to take us forward. Keep our best players if we can and add quality to it, and we go again. Up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you, mate. Connor says, I can see him going to Everton, Jimmy. Don't worry about us, Leeds. I can see us going in for Buendia. Yeah, Buendia's a good player. Played really well under Farke, didn't he, at Norwich? Maury says, are you doing Champions League final PSG against Inter? No, I'm not, pal. I'm not. I thought about it, but I'm not going to do it. A bit of family time, I think. Atletico Bilbao in talks with Science. Yep. I'd heard the same, but nothing's done yet, is it? As Scott says, that's fair. Mr. V with a very generous super chat again. Unbelievable, mate. Hi, Jimmy. You know me when it comes to rumours and gossip. I take it all with a pinch of salt until I hear it's from a reliable source. I hope the new owners stick with Wilder and don't get too laser focused on AI and ignore the eye test of the Blades. Up all the Rambles. Thank you, Mr. V. Really sensible comment as well. Completely agree with that. Completely agree. The eye test counts for a lot. And I know Wilder really values it as well. Spotlight actor Wayne says, Alzati for Souza. I really like Alzati. The different players, obviously, you don't get many Viní Souzas about, do you? But Alzati's more of a, I'd say, a cultured sort of on-the-ball player, but very good. I do like him. Done. I don't know where we're going with that. Mr. V says, Maury, absolutely right. Righteous One says, can you do a reverse show on Behind the Ramble called Talking Rubbish? No. We'll be fine next season, says Danny. I have faith in the board and Wilder. We will be backed 100%. They want Premier League football as much as we do. Stronger than this season. Up the Blades. Oh, you're right, pal. Oh, you're right. Cheers, Danny. David says, just an idea, Jimmy. Can't you just take Andy the Blades passport off him? They'll recognise him at airport anyway, pal, and know he's legit and just let him through. I think that's the stage he's at now, to be honest. Matt's just become a Rambler. Thank you, pal. Really appreciate the support. Thank you for that. It's much appreciated. Righteous One says, I agree as a Leeds fan. I wouldn't want Hamer. He's a luxury player. Yeah, and you've no room for that, have you? Going to be a graft for you this season. one that we wanted to have as well, by the way. That's not a dig. Is Jimmy Dunn a done deal? More or less, as done deal as a done deal can be. Leeds fans in here will tell you about Dan James being a done deal prior, to them. Max Aaron's being a done deal. We had Jerome Sinclair back in the day as a done deal, didn't we? Nothing's done until he's actually signed. Pardon the pun again. But if you'll pardon the pun. Does that come fly with me, that? If you'll pardon the pun. But yes, it's very close from what I understand. Or it was very close when I was last regularly speaking to people. I don't believe it, says Paul. Who in their right mind would want to part with CW? Where would we have finished this season without him? He gave us a shot at promotion with a team still in development. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Jimmy's handsome face cannot be covered up. Thank you, Maury. Thank you. Appreciate that, pal. Jack says, wouldn't mind Cooper if Trafford goes to Newcastle. How much, Jim? Up the Clarets. To you, pal, 30 million plus Brownhill. And it's a deal. 3 that come up are already down, says Tommy. That's the narrative, isn't it? But someone will break the mould at some stage. I personally think Jimmy Dunn is finalised, hence why we're sending Hamza back. I agree, mate. I agree. Helic, we need to make an offer for him. If Cooper goes and if he's back from injury, how about Dovin at Coventry? I've not seen enough of him, to be honest. I know they really rate him. We can maybe find out from some of our Cov pals as to what he's really like. They did rate him, as I say, as a goalkeeper, but I haven't seen enough of him, to be honest. We've done a whole goalkeeper ramble, haven't we, the other day? So I've seen John Lundstrom's been linked with a return. No, says Chris. Yeah, another one that's... I think it was Danny that we're talking about that, to be honest. So there might be a little bit in that, but not sure how I'd feel about it, if I'm completely honest. Maury, all the loans got sent back, don't they? Yes, they did. Matt says, I would love that with transfers, Jimmy. I don't know which bit you're on about now, Matt, because I'm half an hour behind in comments. Chip Butty says, Wilder's the biggest clickbait in football at the minute. A load of nonsense. Not a huge fan of him, but deserves another year. Thank you, Chip Butty. Completely agree. Right, just one says, fair point. I do think you need to be shrewd with the defensive signings and invest in 2 class wingers. Wing-backs and 2 up top for me personally next season. I think it suits our current crop of players and we can really build on it throughout the summer. Just my opinion. And mine, pal. And mine. We've obviously got the opportunity now to change it in terms of the players that we bring in and the players that we choose to let go. But I'm with you. I'm with you. The current crop suits a 3-4-1-2, I would say. Dave says, Poku's been on my list all last season. Rumours are we're interested, but so are 29 other clubs, including 2 Premier League clubs. Harrison, have a word, pal. Absolutely right, because he's at Peterborough, isn't he? Borough's old club. There's swings and roundabouts, isn't there, David? Because if there is a Premier League, if there is Premier League interest, I think Sunderland's one of them. It's whether he would start. He probably would for Sunderland, in all honesty. Maybe he gets in front of Patrick Roberts on that right-hand side. But we would guarantee him minutes, you would like to think, wouldn't you? And Wilder, for all things, people are sort of critiquing him, not necessarily criticising him, but critiquing certain things. He is very persuasive when it comes to signings. We have got a lot of good players over the line, thanks to Chris Wilder. So maybe. I think we stick with the 4-2-3-1 system, but if we do, we need to play with 2 proper wingers like Leeds and Burnley did last season. Playing with Hamer inverted meant that it was congested in the middle. Yeah, possibly. Don't get me wrong, Hamza was a solid right back, but we did play with wing back. But we play with wing backs. I see Jimmy Dunn gets forward and tracks back easily. We don't play with wing backs at the minute, do we, Maury? But I'd like to see us play with wing backs, and I'd like to see Jimmy Dunn as a right centre back personally. I'd move Hamer if he stays into the 10 and rotate him with O'Hare to start. But you can use Gus on the left or into midfield 2, then rotating the squad and having the 5-2-1-2 as a plan B. Interesting. T-Man MFL says, if Wilder goes, it's going to be interesting who you try and get. I don't think they would get you up, whoever you get. I don't think we've more of a chance going up if we change the manager. Yeah, I agree with that aspect of it. Ian says, if the club can convince the players that it's aiming for promotion, it might convince them to stay. Just a thought. Possibly, but I'm sure we said that last season. And here we are in the champ again. If Wilder gets sacked, I'd go either into the German or Austrian market, says Maury. I wonder what Hassan Hootel's doing. M says, Jimmy, do you think all 3 promoted sides will get relegated? Or was the best chance in your eyes? I think, yeah, I do think they will, unfortunately. And I genuinely mean that, because I think the gap is too big at the minute. I think the easiest one to say is Leeds have the best chance of staying up. I think they will throw a lot of resources at it. And a lot of me wants them to break that mould, to be honest. And I know they are. Look, the channels, the work myself and Connor have done, have brought the fan bases close together, or closer together than we thought we probably could be. We are still rivals on the pitch. There's no two ways about it. And I wouldn't be sat here in my Jadon Bogle top if you know Leeds are on last game of season, they need to get a goal. I'm not like a Leeds fan by any means, but I want somebody to break that mould of 3 up, 3 down, because otherwise it just highlights the stronger teams. The top 17 continue to get stronger, don't they? And it's no good for anybody, that. So I think Leeds have probably got the best chance in terms of what I think they're gonna do. I think if you ask me at the minute, if they all had to go with their current squads today, I think Burnley have got the best chance of staying up, because I think they are built as a compact, solid unit. Having said that, they have lost CJ Egan-Riley. And I think obviously the goalkeeper may leave. There's a strong chance that happens, which picks them apart completely. But yeah, it's really tricky to say, and it's certainly going to be very, very difficult to stay up. And we would obviously I'd be saying the same thing about Sheffield United if we'd have beat Sunderland last week. Chris says, good job, Connor. He's not the Leeds manager with all the signings he's putting out. Leeds will go bust. He's just excited, mate, and fair play. It's understandable, isn't it? What are your thoughts on Sean Dyche? Really like him. Really like him as a manager. I see the complaints about the style of football, but he would be a real solid choice if we made a change. But I'm not an advocate of change, to be honest, at the moment. I think Chris Wilder's the best man for the job. Yard Dog says, why would Wilder go? First full season after clearing 30 pros out last year. Managed to finish 3rd and completely put in a completely different style. It's a project, patience and faith. Up the Blades. Yes, yes, yes. More of that, please. Matt says, whenever people think Wilder will be our manager next season, whenever people think Wilder will be our manager next season, fact is or I think you mean whatever people think. He is the right man to get us kicking on. Crazy why people want him out. 92 points. He had a squad from he had to put a squad together from nothing. Come on. Nice one, pal. Gary says, hi, Jim. Ryan One for me. More on the bench. 2 up front, Campbell and One. One and Cannon deserves a chance. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up the mighty Blades. Ryan One still raw, isn't he? I'd like him to go out on loan for 6 months if he's going to stay. I think he could be a sacrificial lamb in this bridging the financial gap, personally. As Rab says, I think it would be wrong to let Wilder go. He's one of our own, up the Blades, up the Ramble. I agree, personally. I think that's the right choice. Not because he's one of our own, but because of what he brings to the table. I don't agree with this coaching team learning from mistakes. We've sat back all season, says Jack. Renegade says Wilder's biggest fault is his inability to sign players when given substantial money. For me, Tom Cannon will be another reminder of this. Brewster is his worst signing ever, but he swears by him. Sander Berger weren't bad, to be fair. We made a big profit on Aaron Ramsdale, no matter what you thought of him. So there are examples of it working as well. Yeah. For Christ, can see it. They're not going to sack Chris Wilder. All right, okay. I've got you. They're not going to sack Chris Wilder. Give your heads a wobble. It's obviously clickbait. Even Stevie Wonder can see that. I assume you mean Roy. Charlie says, CW won't be going anywhere. Hope Hamer, Souza and Cooper stay on, but we'll see. Peck and Burrows will be favourites for a lot of teams. Yeah, they will. They will. Wilder in, but he's made mistakes this season. However, who could be better and who would sell Mini if we got a good Viní if we got a good price? Lots of young midfielders at the club, but Hamer is very hard to replace. Fraser says, Jimmy, I need an Uber now. Absolutely love the first taxi video, mate. Up the Uber. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Matt says, evening, Jimmy. Hope you're well. I mentioned a couple of days ago on stream about us losing all our pressure games, which you fairly countered with the points tally. I just fear the same again as being nearly men. I've been so frustrated this season at how we just scrape by. If we're realistic about going up, then we need to be open-minded about how we do it, including who the boss is. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, dog shouting for Nick Montgomery, who got sacked at Hibs last year. Brett says, football chat is about opinions. If everyone thought the same, it would be boring. All opinions are welcome. Looking forward to the pre-season debates in the chat. Plat membership worth that alone. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. You've been a solid addition. Delighted to have you, mate. Greasy Chip Butty says, evening, Jimmy. Wilder deserves at least till Christmas to see how he does. If not, we're looking at least top 2 or 3. We need to strengthen the squad. We need to be bringing in Prem quality players. Up the Blades, up all the Rambles, like and subscribe. Yeah, that's the ideal scenario, isn't it? That's the ideal scenario, bringing in that sort of quality. I'd say we did do that with Rob Holding, and we didn't play him. And that was a Wilder decision, weren't it? Mike Bassett would do a job, says Ash. Scott says, Wilder didn't sign a lot of these foreign lads, did it? Nobody's playing them, is what I'm saying. Souza and Hamer were hecky signings as well as Anel. Or am I missing something, remembering the window? Wilder loves his Brexit lads. Look at Robbo. Yeah, but it were keeping Rob Holding out. It were keeping Anel out. What I'm saying is he's accepted him as, not that he wouldn't accept him as part of the squad, but it's a tricky one to sort of navigate in, because I'm trying to there's no issue here at all with foreign play, but we have been tarnished with a brush previously that Wilder doesn't dip into the foreign market. Well, he's got several players from a foreign background that he's utilising, and he's utilised well all season. Ty Dolan just spins around in circles, says Flyover Fred. Ty Dolan, no, he's a speedboat with no driver. Oh, memories of Ollie Burke, says Maury. Big name ex-players as managers. Our World Cup winning manager did so well for us, didn't he? Exactly right. Exactly right. Ty Dolan is a fidget spinner. Nice. From Maury. Neil says, Jimmy, 98% of ex-top players don't make good managers. We tried it in the past with ex-England captain when we had Brian Robson. Yes, we did. We all know how that went, don't we? Unfortunately. Renegade says, I'm excited for next season to see the young lads get a proper season like Brooks, Sariki, Peck, One, Arblaster. Before we go ahead with AI selection, says Paul, do you think we should address complete stupidity first? The Messiah must stay. Up the Blades, up all the Rambles. Like and subscribe from a Blade in Spain. Top man. Andrea 666. Is that Andrea Brooks? Hi, Jim Bob. Leeds fan in peace here. The parallels that can be drawn between your upcoming summer and ours last year are pretty freaky. Losing our best players didn't exactly harm us. You'll be right. I honestly think, and look, I don't mean to always pool us together, but I think Leeds and Sheffield United's stories over the last 10 years are very, very similar. Very similar. If you look at them side by side, we've had very similar experiences as fan bases. Very, very, in fact, shockingly so. I'm not saying, anything other than that, but yeah, I think that's sort of what's helped this season in terms of the channels coming together as well, because we feel each other's pain to a degree. There's like a mutual respect, even though the teams don't like each other. Jim Bob Jesse Marsh will be an inspirational Blade. No, thank you. Matthew says, nobody had heard of Farker when Norwich brought him in. Any truth in this? We should be brave and go for an up and coming, as you are right. Wilder greater than Dyche. I'm right. They should be brave and go for an up-and-coming manager, as you are right. Okay. Tim says, insane to sack a manager who just achieved 92 points. That is the clarity that we all keep coming back to, isn't it? And that should be a conversation killer, in my opinion. Leeds and Burnley had stronger squads, but not necessarily stronger managers. Like you said, Jimmy, I'd like us to have another look at the 3-5-2. United doing quite a bit with the pitch. Might have the best pitch, so let's go get the best team to play on it, says Chris. Nice, mate. Sid Preston from Melchester Rovers, says Ken. Evening, pal. Hope you're okay. If we sack Wilder, I don't think we will. I don't think I will be able to go next season. Up all the Rambles. Please like and subscribe. Thank you, mate. Hope you're doing well, Liam. All good, pal. And you will definitely go, because no matter who's in dugout, no matter who's on the pitch, we will be there, won't we? Because that's what we do. Luke says, Burnley fan here, can definitely see you going down the ex-player route like we did with Company. All Burnley fans love Dyche like you do with Wilder, but they sacked him and made the change. Yeah, American owners as well. Interesting. Toffolo on a free is an option. I'd love Toffolo on a free, particularly if we did lose. I don't think we'll lose Burrows. I don't mean to throw another name into the mix, but it has been whispered in quiet corners, and I don't think we will lose him. But if we were to lose him, Harry Toffolo, you could do an awful lot worse than. Good player. As long as Cooper stays, says Yard Dog. I think he will. Poor Gary, who got sold from Leeds. Steve says, tried watching Behind the Ramble earlier. Couldn't hear properly out in the van, but good luck with the Uber, bud. Hope it goes well. Good luck for next season. Thank you, pal. Same to you. Jimmy, hurry up to end this stream. We have an order from Uber Eats. They said it'll be an hour. I told them it's because you're live on YouTube. She said, what? I'm not doing Uber Eats. I'm transporting people rather than food, but fair dues. Roll would be an amazing appointment, says Stephen. It would be what do we call it around here? There's a word for it that we use. I think you all know what's coming, don't you? No, you don't, because I ain't got it on here. Oh, what a shame. That was an ideal in fact, I'm gonna have to skip to another one just to play it. I can't do it. It won't let me do it. I'll have to make it out myself. Poohousery. How have I not got it on here? How have I? Bear with. If we appointed Danny Roll, just pause for a minute while it uploads. There's only one word for it.
The Poohousery.
It was worth the wait. It was worth the wait. Would you take Joe Rockwell on loan, Jimmy, up the Ramble? Yes, I would, mate. Particularly if we lose somebody in that midfield area. I think him being the second or third in terms of starting or just behind the starters would be very good. I think he had a really good season for Leeds. I don't think you'll bring him with you to the Premier League, but in the Championship, he's a bit of a difference maker, I think. So, yeah, he made a difference when he came on against us, I think, as well. Is Tommy Doyle an option? He certainly is in my book. I would love to have Tommy Doyle in the conversation. The thing is, we can't really get into incomings too much until we know which of the big hitters are leaving. So there's a chance that Sidney Peck goes, for example. So if Sidney Peck goes for 20 million to a Crystal Palace, and we've got a chance to bring in Tommy Doyle for 8 million, then we do it. We should definitely do it. We could bring in Joe Rothwell, like has just been suggested, but signing Tommy Doyle, absolutely gravy that. Absolutely brilliant. And Blades would go balmy for it as well. And Tommy Doyle is not the best centre midfielder we could sign, but you will struggle to, I mean, some may just for effect now, but you will struggle to find a Blade in this chat that will be unhappy with it. You know, I'm not saying everybody thinks it's amazing, but you will struggle to find that not being a very popular signing. Last time he went, we got Slav. Look what happened there. Exactly right, James. Riff says, if we did revert to a back three again, I would prefer Loser. Absolutely right. What a player he is, by the way. Loser at Watford, who we have highlighted before on the channel. Jason Knight, good player, not great. Instead of Lewis O'Brien. Okay, all right, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Lewis O'Brien's still a very good option. You look at his numbers for Swansea. Just look at how he played for Swansea. Sunderland fan here, abuse away, says SJ. I'm expecting it. No, we're not going to abuse you, pal. I know we're going to come straight back down. Everyone likes to tell us anyway. You all will be challenging top two as Leicester will get docked points. Yeah, look, mate, don't worry. There's nowhere you need to go running off and hiding to around here. You beat us fair and square on the day. Obviously, we're a bit peeved at VAR, but that were part of the rules, and we were still in front when that happened. So no ill feeling towards Sunderland here from me. Jimmy, get the Ramble cabs signed up to do the NHS patient transport. Yeah, possibly. Jimmy the Uber Blade, says Andy. Yeah, I am an Uber Blade. Martin says, evening, Jim. Spoke to a Spurs fan in Spain. His brother is good pals of Peck. He told me he's happy at the Lane. Any thoughts? Up the Blades, up the Ram. I don't doubt he is happy at the Lane. I don't doubt it. But it's not just the player, is it? It's the people around him. It's all sorts of things. Illiman and Dye were happy at the Lane. You know, players can really enjoy where they are and end up. And I'm not saying he definitely will go, but I'm fully expecting us to be tested on CD Peck, and then it'll be up to him as to what he does. Good luck next season, says Luke to the Sunderland fan. Try to stick with the team. If it gets rough, hopefully you surprise a few. Yes, absolutely right. Wouldn't mind that at all. Fred says, hi, Jimmy. Come in peace. Is there any part of you that blames Wilder in the end this season? Cheers. No, I think they're all collectively responsible. Some more than others. Wilder plays a huge part for how the season has been. So, yes, he's partly responsible for the failures and probably takes a large portion of responsibility for the failures. But if you're going to do that, you also have to praise him for the 92 points and beating the Wendy's twice, which I'm going to say around these parts, I'm in Wakey, but in Sheffield means an awful lot. Going into work with a smile on your face, the upper hand, they have been on the floor this season. They've tried, but it's been, you know, that Simpsons meme, they're already dead. He's already dead. That's what it's been like this season. And Wilder's made sure we stepped on their neck when we had the opportunity to do it. And they didn't blow a hole in our promotion hopes. We didn't do it in the end, but it wasn't Sheffield Wednesday that stopped us. In fact, they helped us get closer to promotion. So that's how I feel about it, Fred. I feel like, yes, he does take a large portion for us not going up, if you want to frame it like that. Absolutely he does, because he's the leader. But he also has gotten us to that position where we have been in such a strong place all season. We've been beaten by two better teams. And on the day at Wembley, I think the team that played better in key moments beat us. That's football. That's football. That's why we love it. That's why we hate it. But that's why we'll be back again, won't we? Chomping at the bit to get back involved. Surprise, not sunrise, says Luke. I know, mate. Yeah, it were a typo, but I had you covered. Don't worry. Wilder might not want to stay, says Steve. I think he does. I think he does. From all the noises coming out of the club and people close to him, he's a blade. He wants to finish the job. Matt says just because where does he go, Steve? Where does he go other than Sheffield United now? You know, I think in his first stint and his stock were through the roof. I think that was his time to maybe test himself if he got offered higher, maybe an Everton level job. But then obviously the tide turned with COVID. It didn't quite go his way, and he ended up leaving. And he sort of stuttered then a little bit. And I can give you reasonings for it, and we're not going to go into that today. But now at the place that Wilder is right now, his stock isn't in the same position to other clubs. It wouldn't get another bottom end Premier League club or a top end Championship club. It might end up at like Bristol City to replace. I forgot his name now. Chuffing, him who kicked off. He's going to Manning, Liam Manning might end up there. Maury says, SJ, I think Sunderland will stay up, says Maury. I'm not convinced, mate. I won't be against it at all, but I think who goes down. That's the thing. You can say that they'll give it a 8 go, but you've then got to relegate one at 17 that's been stopping up for the last 3 years. Matt says, I just hope if he goes, the players won't want to leave, disagreeing with it like most of us would. I don't think he'll go, Matt, to be honest. Oh, it's going to be really difficult, but at least if we get that cash, that's what we're all after, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely right. The Premier's like a closed shop now, unfortunately. What will happen, SJ, is you will likely come back down, but you will then be a much stronger side. Like Ipswich are coming down, a much stronger side than the side that went up from this division. I don't necessarily just mean on the pitch, but in terms of the backing and the finances that you'll have. Gary says, I've just heard Juventus have put a bid in for Hamer and Frey Bentos have put a bid in for the rest. There you go. There you go. Hot news breaking from Gary there. Let's all run around and scream because Hamer's going to Juve and Frey Bentos is taking the rest. Blades don't have any hate for your lot, says Riff, meaning Sunderland. Most respect your team. Best of luck from us. You guys did a smash and grab against both us and Cov. I even think that's a little bit harsh, but as much part of the game as total dominance. Yeah, it is. Jack says, evening, Jimmy. Statman Jack. I'm just waiting to book my tickets for pre-season. Heard Wilder is gone. Bring me Russell Martin, top draw manager, if you actually watch his sides and don't believe the nonsense. Well, I believe the nonsense, if that's what you're calling it, Warney. You would like us to, if Wilder leaves, you want Russell Martin. We need to let Wilder carry on cooking his team build. Cooking. Let him cook. Let Wilder cook. It'll pay off when they have a full pre-season together this time. Not all last minute like last summer. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up the positive Meldrew. Look at that. Look at that. Statman Jack's done you a solid there. Marco, would you have Farker as manager? No, I wouldn't, personally. I've really not got anything against you at all, but Coventry like to make fake rivalries with everybody, to be fair. You lot keep Wilder, and you're very likely to get promoted next season. In my opinion, Ipswich and Coventry will be the ones to watch for next season. Depending on Leicester's points deduction, they could struggle a bit. They didn't mention Wilder's name when they released that statement. Probably means he's off, says Haddon. I don't read much into that. Why would you mention it? Why would you say, oh, and we're keeping the manager? Liam said, I suppose you could say thanks to Chris for the season or something. But Liam says, hi, Jimmy. I would like to have a new manager, fresh-faced and fresh ideas. And I hope Gus doesn't go because he's one of our best players. There you go, Liam. Absolutely fine, mate. We can have a difference of opinion and still get on great, can't we? Brand says, I just want to thank you and the rest of the Blades Ramble crew for all the fantastic content this season, Jimmy. I said over a year ago that you're born natural at this, and boy, have you proven me right. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Thank you, Brand. And that gives me just a pause for a moment because I'm still half an hour behind on comments, and I will get through them as quickly as I can because the streams have gone on for a long time recently. But I love it, to be fair. Thank you very much for your kind words there, Brand, about myself. But this season, excuse me, because I've got a bit of a chest cold thing coming on. We have tried our best to introduce more and more people into the channel just for variety for the viewers, really, because the last 3 or 4 days, all you've seen is my face. But don't worry, because Sunday, we're back with 3MB. Get me 2 boys on. Man Mountain, Dave the Nose. Tuesday, Andy the Blade makes his grand return to the channel. Honestly, no disrespect to anybody else, and they all know I love them. My favourite person to ever have on is my dad, undoubtedly. Not just because I think he talks a lot of sense, which is why we've called the show Talking Sense, but just because I love having a chat about football to me. That you are basically getting to see what me and him talk about all the time. We're just filming it. That's the difference. But also new names. Jord Motson coming on for our watch-alongs. All the new faces you see on the Ramble, just regulars now. In terms of 90 after 90, you've seen a lot of similar faces like Jamie Dumpling, like Maury's started coming on, which I'm really pleased about. Ricky's started coming on a lot more. Mark Meldrew. It's absolutely brilliant. And then even now, that continues to sort of filter into Brett and Gaz coming back into the mix, and Big Tony, and people that Lee, who's going to be a big part of the channel next year as well. I absolutely love it. And that's what we're about. So thank you to everybody that contributes to the Ramble on screen. It's still very much a one-man band behind the scenes, but on the screen, I want to give people that variety, and also the people that are doing it, that opportunity to come out of the shells a little bit. We've got shows that are specific for Platinum Ramblers and other Ramblers as well, but for Platinum Ramblers to come on and build their confidence. Statman Jack's just recently come on board as well and done his own show for Behind the Ramble. And we just experiment with content. And I want people to feel confident and have the belief that the one, and again, I'm rambling, but that's part of the deal, innit? But we've had Ricky start Just United because he's grown in confidence on screen. Dry Bryce started when Saturdays come because he's grown in confidence on stream. We've had other people. Maury went from TikTok, now just starting Maury the Cop Blade on YouTube. And I'm not giving him a shout out just to give the channels a shout out. It's more a case of I'm proud as punch of these people that have taken the really difficult leap of putting their faces on screen, which is the biggest hurdle. And once you've done it, it's easy. And I don't mean it's easy as in, you know, this is all a breeze, and because at times I really have to concentrate and I get muddled and all sorts, but that is the hardest bit, overcoming that fear of putting your face on the screen for the first time. And then you realize, because of the community that we try endlessly to build, people will be supportive. Dave Morwood, thank you for coming on as much as you have this season. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you to Ian and everybody and the mods. Bri, who's joined the mods. Rich, who's joined the mods in the Plat chat. And it's just brilliant. I don't want to talk about too many people, because even though I've listed a load there, because I'll miss people. But yeah, thank you, Bran, for just giving me that opportunity to say that, because it's really important that people get their flowers as well, other people on the channel. And I love it when you praise other people that come on, because it really helps the confidence as well. Would you do a swap deal for Souza and Tommy Doyle? No. American manager with experience in England marching on to Sheffield? Nope. Hopefully Radoni moves on, as Coventry fans think he's the best midfielder in the champ. He's not the best midfielder in the champ, but he's a very good player. I saw some people thinking it might be a bit of a purple patch this season, but I'm not convinced. My dad's a big fan. I'm a big fan. I think he's a very good player. Got a lot of the right attributes. Come Fly With Me couldn't get away with that show now. No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. I'm going to quote some of them, but I won't. Aid says, hi, Jimmy. Sorry, it's been taking a long time for me watching Blades Ramble. I work Saturdays, so watch games live to me on a Sunday morning. Any thoughts on Fabregas, Russell Martin, Lampard, and Southgate? You mean as managers, says Fabregas? I wouldn't take any of them, to be honest. I mean, some would see them as being big, particularly Southgate being a big name. I think he'll want a Premier League job. Russell Martin's a definite no. Cesc Fabregas, is he still at Como? And Frankie Lampard done a good job at Coventry, to be fair. But I want Chris Wilder to stay, mate. That's where I am. Cooler King says, looks like Louis Barry's going out on loan again. Apparently Birmingham are interested. I saw that on Ben HD. Shout out to Ben HD, by the way. If anybody wants to get in touch with him, hopefully he'll stop ghosting me now. I think I get lost in all his fan mail. But I want to do some content with Ben HD. So if anybody can bug him and spam his comment section with go and answer Jimmy's DM, then it'd be appreciated. Please step in to prevent this from happening. It'd be a very good signing anyway. Yeah, Louis Barry, I like him as a player, would suit the system that we are currently operating in. There were a lot of talk about him in January by us as well, in terms of he were doing great at Stockport, weren't he? And then were it him or Ben Brereton Diaz? And it were a toss-up between the two, weren't it? Obviously, we went for BBD in the end. And Louis Barry, unfortunately, got injured. So, yeah, Birmingham rumoured to be in for him. Birmingham rumoured to be offering Poku 30 grand a week. Madness if true. Yeah, but we might go to them sort of levels. Not necessarily for Poku, who's not played higher than League One. But we might be paying them sort of wages next season as well. Has Wilder gone yet? Russell Martin's Barmy Army? No, Ab. No. SJ says Birmingham needs to get it right. If they're offering players those sort of wages as FFP and PSR could hammer them. That'd be a shame, wouldn't it? As a Leeds fan, when it comes to losing players, just remember that players have clauses nowadays that we as fans don't know about. Very true. Very true. If Leeds don't stay up, then nobody will ever have a chance, says Fred. To be honest, I don't think Roberts is good enough for the Prem. Mundell could be. I just can't see us selling him anyway. Aid says it's imperative that we build a back four and sign centre-backs that are good enough to play in a partnership of two, not three. 3-5-2 just becomes 5-4-1 in the Premier League and teams can't get up the pitch. And that's a long-term way of doing it, Aid, and I understand that thought process. But you've got to get there first. Don't worry about having a formation that suits the Premier League when you're in the Championship. That's just my opinion on it, personally. Aim of coming to Leeds, ole, says Tom. We'll see. We'll see, mate. Someone needs to break that mould. I think Sunderland would survive. Fan-run club, and Reggie Labrie is a dark horse. He's a good manager. We haven't lost CJ yet, Jim. Rumours say both Brownhill and CJ have signed up. Well, that'd be great for you, wouldn't it? That would be great for you. I thought you'd lose Brownhill, to be honest, but it does seem as though he's leaning towards staying now, which is unbelievable for you. FFP PSR is not fit for purpose, and Forest made it into more of a joke than it was. I can see Leeds and Birmingham blow it out of the water for the sake of points deduction. Matt says Rome wasn't built in a day. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up the positive Meldrew. We've done it now. We've set it off. That's my fault. I knew as soon as I mentioned it, this would happen. Cooler King, that'll be it now. He'll be toasting. He'll be popping champagne. That's it. He's made it. The people want him. If the owners want a change, and it's a big if, then I think they'd want more of a change than Sean Dyche. Maybe. Jimmy, I love the Uber video. Maybe you could take me to Leeds for a Premier League game next year, DJ. Don't push your luck, pal. Don't push your luck. Neil says, Jimmy, as much as the Premier is the golden land, in reality, it's geared up to be a closed shop when Bournemouth, with an 11k fan base, can outbid any of the new teams. Up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Yeah, but to be fair, gate receipts are nothing, are not a patch on Premier League income now, are they? They don't mean anything. SJ says no team should be allowed to get away with breaking FFP the way that Forest did, for example. If they went down that season, they'd have been proper done. 41 likes at 20:05. We've over 1,000 people in here. Let's push to 100 before the end of the stream. Yeah, please do like and subscribe if you are here and enjoying the content. If you're not already doing that, it's much appreciated. The numbers are crazy at the minute. So thank you to everyone that supports us. It's very much appreciated. Joe says, do you think, oh, Joe, do you think there would be as much noise about Wilder being axed if we hadn't finished third? It's surely the most down to the negative to the end of the season. Are you Joe from Action Coach? That's what you need to tell me now. I was just about to try and click on something else to have a look, but I don't think I can. Do you think there will be as much noise about Wilder being axed if we haven't finished third? It's surely mostly down to the negative. Yeah, I think it is, but I don't think there's loads of noise about it. I think it's one article that's set everybody off. So we're here to sort of squash it a little bit and say it's one thing that's come out. So, but I do think obviously people have very recent memory, don't they, of what have you done for me lately, sort of thing. And the end to the finish will be seen as a disappointment, obviously. So maybe that's fresh in people's minds. Chris says, I think if the board are looking at the performances from last season, Wilder will be down the road. Some we won, but we were poor. Alem says, if we want to get promoted again, we have to start winning against the big teams in the division. If not, there's no point of the Prem. Very good point. We lost twice to Burnley. We lost twice to Leeds. Across the season, we lost twice to Sunderland and beat them once. So it's a fair point. It's a very fair point. I thought against the above average teams in the league, Middlesbrough, Coventry, we played very well, but they were few and far between, weren't they? Leeds fan, who do you reckon stays for you? Says Jack. I don't know, mate, is the honest answer. I don't honestly know. I think we'll lose 2 or 3, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was any 2 or 3 from a crop of about 5, I would say. Daz says Wilder does play people from outside the UK. He has loads of players from Scotland and Ireland. At one stage, we had 5 players in the Ireland squad. There you go. There you go. Oh, David McGoldrick. What a legend he is, by the way. Jimmy says, that's unfair, Neil. Bournemouth had a decent stint by playing good football before they were relegated. Got back up and made the right change from sticking with O'Neill. Now selling players for millions. Yeah, it were a very brave choice by Bournemouth at the time, and it's definitely paid off for him. Can we say up the Trinity at least? Absolutely, up the Trinity. Up the Trinity. I'm not a huge fan, but Andy the Blade is, so I'll say it for him. I think Dunn, I just play, it's round balls for me. Oh, gee. Dear me. Josh says, I think Dunn comes in and plays right back and possibly John Joe Kenny on a free as backup. Would be interested to look at Kyle Walker-Peters on a free. Will be good in this league and someone for Sariki to learn from. So you want 4 right backs, Josh? 4 right backs. Kyle Walker-Peters would be a starter for anybody in this league. I think we'll be pushing it to try and get him. I don't think we'll sign both John Joe Kenny and Dunn to play right back. If we sign John Joe Kenny, I'd expect him to start and Dunn to push inside, personally. Would like to see us look at Hellick at Oxford. Hughes at Hull. Charlie Hughes. Darling or Cabango. Bendy Benka Bango. And Doyle at Man City at centre-back. All good shouts, to be honest. Hellick, really like. Charlie Hughes, not really fulfilled his potential, but young still and could maybe do a job, more of a long-term prospect signing, I would say. Harry Darling on a free is a no-brainer. Ben Cabango, steady at the level. No more, really, but steady at the level. Doyle, maybe expensive for what he is, I think, but he is a left-sided centre-half. Can play left-back, but left-footed centre-half. I like it. I like it a lot. The
Puhauser.
Nice one, Maury. Nice one. Any excuse to play that. Aid says, Viní and Blaster should be in a midfield 3 in a 4-3-3 with proper number 6 sitting and screening. Unpopular opinion, but Viní is not a 6. He's an 8. Interesting. See, I think he is a 6 and not an 8, but that's what we're about, innit? Renegade says, I don't want to see more of our first team leave. I think we can recover from 2. I think if we lose more, it will be difficult to replace. Souza and Loser in the middle, says Maury. Yeah. Saint says, I've said all along, Hamer's not going anywhere. What about Valencia, former Leeds manager? Bielsa, you mean? The former Leeds manager. If Wilder's sacked, which is a huge if that I don't think will happen, we wouldn't get Marcelo Bielsa. And that is not being defeatist, but I just think he would not. First of all, we're sort of semi-rivals to Leeds, to be honest, and I don't think you would do that because he was very close to the Leeds. It's like Wilder leaving us and going to Leeds to a degree. No, I don't think we'd get Bielsa, to be honest. If Wilder goes, and he shouldn't, if we then appointed a PE teacher from S6, I wouldn't follow them until he was sacked, says Daz. That's sausage roll, by the way. Bad enough buying Curran off them lot. Interesting. I think some would love it for the poohousery. Imagine Sky having a nightmare saying Souza to loser, then back to loser, back to Souza. Would you consider Emil Reese? Now he's available on a free. If he's happy being fourth choice, excuse me, because my nose is really stuffy and I'm a bit coffee, and I'll try and end it as soon as I can. But would you consider Emil Reese now he's available on a free? If he was happy to be fourth choice striker, then yes. I think we'd only sign somebody like Emil Reese if we moved to a 2 up front on a more regular basis, because then you can interchange the strikers. You'll have 4 strikers to choose from, because I don't think Tyrese, Cannon, or Moore are going anywhere, in all honesty. And I'm happy with that. Bielsa isn't he the Uruguay boss? Yeah, I think he is, Maury. You take him tomorrow, says the same. Renegade says, we won't get him, by the way. Renegade says, I hope we don't lose more than 2 first-team players. I can't see us losing Harrison or Coops. I doubt Anel has many teams willing to fork out for him. I could see Viní and Hamer going, but I hope not. Okay. Lee says, Wilder's best manager we've had in 30 years. I don't think many can argue that. I think some will want to, but I don't think many can, personally. And that also would mean, doesn't mean he still is. He still is an unbelievable manager. But what he has given us, I completely agree with you. Completely agree. Roll at end of August says, knock off Nigel. Look forward to Bottle Lines next season. Don't know the future of Battle Lines, in all honesty. Don't know if I'm going to be replaced for Battle Lines. I don't mean we won't be doing content with Connor, but I might be out on me here. Sheffield United didn't get promoted. How is it Battle Lines if we're not battling? Good luck in the Champo. Blunts. Nice one. Woodus. I think Wilder will go to an SPL club or a team abroad. Wilder's not going anywhere, Maury. Liam says, I would love and die back at the lane, Liam. I would too. We will never see him back in a Sheffield United shirt, and you can click me on that. Gaz says, Wilder will be given time. Why would the owners back him earlier this week and sack him next? Won't happen, in my opinion. Saint says, Wilder had a great season, but if the owners want change, it tells me they ain't messing. It would be harsh on Wilder. Fred says, I'm getting there with comments, by the way. Fred says, Wilder's a bit too emotional. If he could rein himself in, that would rub off on the players. Seth says, I give Wilder 1 more year, and if no promotion, we should look for someone new. Yeah, I think that's fair. Neil Warnock is better than Wilder, in my opinion, but both are legends at the club and the times they've managed us. I could talk to you for a long time about that, Renegade, and I completely disagree. But that's another conversation for another day. Ten Hag's got a new deal and he was sacked. That's football. Yeah, just because they signed him to a new deal doesn't mean they won't sack him. I don't think that plays a part in it. Ultimately, it's what he does on the pitch, and if they deem it unacceptable, then he'll go. I agree. Warnock's better football. Very close between them. Fair enough. Fair enough. Russell Martin, strong no from Maury. Sooner have Ricky Martin. Peake says, I think all 3 have got promoted, will stay up, and I hope they do. Do you think all 3 will stay up? Bringing the fan bases together has been brilliant. No need for hatred in football. We're all united in disappointment. Yes, we are, pal. Living La Vida Loca. Just a point, Steve Bracknell and Bob the Bucket, says James. All 3 will come down again, in my opinion, says the Saint. Maury says, always a pleasure in coming on. You've built my confidence up in content creating. Well, best of luck to you, pal. Thank you for that. Saint says, if you believe that Peak, put a bet on, you'll make a fortune if all 3 stay up. It's worth a punt. Sunderland, wealthy owner and a massive loyal fan base. Leeds, strong team, and they will spend. Burnley, good solid team to build on. They'll all strengthen their squads. Yes, they will, but there's levels to it, Peak. And in my opinion, who's going to finish below them? That's the question. It's not that they won't improve as sides and that they're not already good sides, because they are. It's are they good enough? And which 3 are going to finish below them? That's the question, isn't it? I can't see it. Saint says the gap to the Premier is absolutely massive. All 3 clubs could have a great season, but that all 3 is a massive call. Fabregas is doing bits for Como. Doubt he'll drop to the Championship. Says Maury, how's it going, Jim Boobies? says Brad. Yeah, I'll read as many comments as I can. Great video, well said, said Mogger. Thank you, mate. Ben HD, the Preston fan. Yes, mate. Yeah, very good creator. Does a lot of brilliant transfer rumour videos as well. Anybody that's not following him, I would strongly recommend that you go and do that, because particularly in transfer window, he's good all the time, but particularly in transfer window time, he's my go-to. Just short 10 minutes. We're not used to that round here, but short 10-minute videos of what's happening. Can see Billy joining the coaching staff end of the next season if Wilder stays. Me too, Matt. Me too. I would love that. Lee says, has Mr. Webster been on yet? Wondered if he sat on the fence about Wilder. He's not been on tonight. He's not been on, but he won't be far away. Guarantee if we got Martin, the entire fan base would change their opinion within 2 pre-season games, says Warney. Fair dues, mate. Let's hope we don't have to find out. Please don't get the Ouija board out and summon him, Lee. Yeah, I know. Matt says, I don't see Hamer going to the Premier. Costs too much for a player who can't play 90 minutes no matter how good he is. And El's very replaceable, and with a packed midfield. If we lose Viní, up the Blades, up the Ramble. Going up next year, not digging Hamer out. He's the best player, but for silly money, you can't be suspended all the time. And coming off after 70 minutes, we are less than 10 minutes away from getting to the bottom of these comments. Don't you worry, we are doing this. Can we get in for sub 145? Over 1,000 people here. O'Hare's better than Hamer, in my opinion, says the Saints. Some shout, but fair dues. I hate the sentence, we played poor but won. We won, though. We also played good and lost some games. Wilder plays to win, not to entertain. Still better than Warnock, long ball up to Wayne Ellison. Warnock record in promotions is second to none, says the Saints. Rob says, stumbled on your streams and content during the playoffs, and got to say you offer great content and feel very level-headed. Thank you, Rob. Thank you. I don't think Mrs. Ramble would agree, but I appreciate you thinking that. Raoul was linked to Leeds before Daniel Farker. Thank you, Tom, for that. Wilder and Warnock, best managers in the last 30 years, in my opinion. I think Warnock did a good job for us. I just can't take to him. That's just a personal thing. I'll still watch you next season, says Tom. Thank you, mate. I'll still end up watching you all, I think, as well. No, if he goes, it's not like I said earlier. He's not, like I said earlier, Wilder stays. Scott says, I think you may need to avoid a fan channel. Regular shows, they haven't gone well for you. Forest TV and then one Leeds. They have gone well for me, I would say. Look, we don't, in terms of the outcome, Scott's talking about, I did a regular show with Forest Fan TV when we first started collaborating with other channels. And we ended up getting relegated, and I ended up eating humble pie. This season, obviously, I had to wear a Leeds shirt on Connor's channel. And yeah, so I've lost out twice. But I've had fun doing it. Not the forfeit bit and the apology bits and stuff, but it's been a good crack along the way, and it's got to be fair. Took Warnock 7 or 8 seasons to get Blades promoted to the Premier League, but Wilder 2. Interested to hear you take on Warnock for another day, pal. Wait, I don't want to go over. I don't want to go well over time. John says, evening, Jimmy, not inevitable that Gus, Viní and Anel leave. If I had to choose which we need to retain, it would be Viní, irreplaceable. And talk of Chris leaving is just what it is, talk up the Ramble. I would say Gus is irreplaceable, John, personally. You're not going to get a player like Viní Souza at this level either. I understand that, but I think you don't find another Gus Hamer. It's hard to find another Viní. You don't get another Gus. Ellen Back says, who would you take from Leeds, Jim? Jack Harrison, Gruev, Matteo Joseph, Max Vober should all be departing or loaned out. I wouldn't want any of them, to be honest. I don't look. Jack Harrison's all right if you want to pay his wages. I think he's hot and cold, but I think in our system he might do all right. Vober I haven't seen enough of, but I know he's a left-sided defender, isn't he? And I'm always up for looking at a left-sided defender replacement. Matteo Joseph didn't do enough for me. I'm not about developing other teams' players. And Gruev, I weren't that fussed about. Maybe you can do a ratings video of our previous managers. Yeah, possibly. Flyover Fred says the amount of teams that qualify for Europe gives the promoted teams a high percentage chance than usual. Those Thursday night trips to Kazakhstan will make it hard for a few teams at least. Very good point. Very good point indeed. Fabregas is also part owner of Como. Oh, yeah, I knew there was some sort of caveat in there, weren't there? But it's something like he couldn't officially be the manager, so he's in as assistant technically, but there's some sort of discrepancy with it in there. Maury, you could argue standard of teams he's competed against were higher standard. Yes, you could. James says, last time we went up, we started in the Prem with a weaker side. We ended up in the Championship. Yeah, we did. 400 watching on YouTube, but only 179 likes. Click the like button, folks, and subscribe. Lee doing us a solid. Thank you, mate. Lonely. Cannot wait for that. Cannot wait for Lee. Look, I'm just going to do it, Lee. I'm going to chuck that spoiler out there. We're going to have a new segment next season. Lonely. Lee covering the loans out of Sheffield United. So when we've been wondering what Sam Curtis has been up to this season and what other players who've been out on loan with other teams have been up to, Ivo Gerbic, nobody really knows, do they? Lee, the font, will be telling us all about it. So thank you, Lee, for that next year, and hope to get you on a couple of Ramble on the roads as well, because they are absolutely top draw from you as well. How about starting new battle lines with Southampton and Ipswich fanboys? Battle lines was look, I could quite easily do that, I suppose. But battle lines, to be fair, was Connor's idea as a show concept, and he's my mate, and I wouldn't do that to him anyway in terms of just directly ripping off. I will be doing content with other creators. We've got a weekly show planned with Callum Fowler this season coming, which I'm really looking forward to, putting that little boy back in his place from time to time, thinking that Barnsley are going to win Champions League in the next 3 years. But that's going to be really good. That's going to be like a praise or grumble type show. So and it's where we can fit in then around the core Ramble content, because obviously doing the show with Cal, I will still be doing bits with Connor, no doubt about it. Maybe on Behind the Ramble, maybe on the Conor McGilligan channel. But yeah, so there'll be lots to go at. But there's room for stuff like that as well, Chris. Wasn't a big Eki fan, to be fair, but he deserved better. Yeah, I think he's a good Championship manager, Eki, to be honest. And he had a very good squad, and he did the job that was asked of him. So fair play to him in that regard. Maybe Wilder kept O'Hare out of the 11. Oh, so we're not singing away. Just to stop him catching the other club's eyes. Genius from Wilder, not action coach Joe. Thank you, mate. Okay. I do know a Joe Palmer. James, I love the poohousery of Wilder and Warnock. Yeah. Jim, do a vid on Warnock. I think that'll be niche, though. I don't think we'll get over 1,000 people watching me, like, voicing my frustrations of that. Thing with Russell Martin, says Rob, is he did really well for the Saints in the Championship, but was then really stubborn in the Prem. Do the Blades want that? He hasn't shown that he can change it up if he got promoted. He also had a very good squad at Southampton, and did a Sunderland, I think it's fair to say, was the 4th best team in the league and won it at Wembley. So I think he probably had the 3rd best team in the Championship, or one of the top 3 squads, and he didn't get them up automatic, did he? And yeah, so it's one of them. You're all kidding yourselves. At least 6 are leaving. Bookmark that. At least 6 are leaving, and that I'm not coming. Listen, you're not including when you are proven wrong, Paul. When you are proven wrong, you're not including Jamie Shackleton and Reece Norrington-Davies in that conversation. No. You mean at least 6 big hitters are leaving. You're wrong. You're wrong, boy. Matt says at least you get to work with Matt and his sister next season. New battle lines at United and Coventry. You guys go crazy. You guys go crazy for Sophie SB. The Saint says company was stubborn at 2, and he ended up at Bayern Munich. That's a fair point as well. John says the recent comments by the owners very reassuring. Get the impression they have more resources than we are led to believe. Confident we're strong next season. Jimmy respects what you say about Gus. Thank you, pal. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Good night, Blade, says Renegade. What's happened to Danny Wilson? Not heard of him in ages. I think he's out of the picture until he dropped down the leagues and then probably retired. I'm sure he's done okay. Daz says Bournemouth wouldn't have been relegated if goal line technology had been switched on. Uncle Col is 3rd on my list behind Sir Dave and Chris. Yeah, absolutely right. Nice Akon reference. Love it. Callum Fowler. Hey up, cock. You can say that one, Maury. You're all right. Hey up, cock. Ed says Viní is so dominant centrally, but it doesn't allow someone to hold and sit in and screen and play make. I'd like to see his physicality used box to box. Still got over 1,000 people in here, but I am winding up now. The shows with Callum Fowler, can we have those subtitles for him? Yeah, we'll make sure you can understand him. Still over 1,000 people in here. Just going to make it my parting shout just to say, if you're not already, could you please like the video? And if you're not watching on YouTube, please come over and subscribe if you're not already. It massively helps us. We are really trying to get to 10K before the season's underway. We'll probably have a better tagline than that somewhere along the way. But I also want to say a reminder, we're back. We might be back before that because we've done like 3 and 4 days or something like that. And I weren't expecting to do any of them. But Sunday, 7 o'clock, the 3 Mardy Blades are back. We're talking playoffs, retain lists, and the future. So join us there, 7 o'clock on Sunday evening, before the huge return of the channel MVP. Andy the Blade returns with talking sense, because I didn't even give him the option, but that's what he'd have told me the show should be called. What now? Who could go? And who should go? Interesting. I probably know a few of those answers already, but I'm interested for you guys to hear them as well. Heard we're after a Brazilian teenage called Billy Sharpino, says Steve. Great show, says Ellen Back. Thank you, pal. Ask George's inbred relation to do a Sheffield Battle Lines before games. Don't put down a bet to wear one of their shirts. I would never wear that. I would never wear one of them shirts. Look, James from Wednesday Till I Die pod, he's a really good lad. I cannot say any other. I like him. He just supports a terrible, terrible side. As ever, brilliant stream, says Maury. Like and subscribe, up the Blades, up the Ramble, up all the Rambles. Thank you, thank you, pal. Chris says, please like and subscribe, up the Blades, up all the Rambles. Fred says, nice one, Jimmy. Always enjoy your content. Thank you, mate. Always enjoy chatting with you too. Heard we're after a Brazilian teenager called Billy Sharpino. Have you said that twice? Yes, you have, Dave. So funny you said it twice. Funny at first time, I'll be honest. I'd stick with Wilder, says Aid, but the club could develop him and insist that he brings in a possession coach to add to what we've got on the staff. And Chris says, has Andy the Blade got a theme tune yet? He has, but I put it together in quite a hurry, if I'm honest. And he says, don't play that again. It's crap. So it wasn't even funny crap. He just didn't like it. So I have to do as I'm told. I'm 41, but I have to respect my father. And I won't be playing on with a theme tune until I've got one that's appropriate. Daz says 210 likes on YouTube now, Jim. Thank you, Daz. Appreciate the update. What do you think of using AI for our signings? Let's get into it another time, pal. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blade!